I already had planned that I was going to record this podcast, but I did not expect the news that ultimately we got this morning in terms of the Lakers. Mark Walter, our owner, has decided to sell the team. Only 14 months on the job. The initial sale began last June. Only 14 months on the job, and he has already decided to sell the team. This time to Bob Iger and Josh Kushner. These two guys, they have teamed up to buy the Lakers for $12.5 billion. An incredible amount of money. An incredible amount. We have a lot to talk about on that regard right now. Again, I was planning to talk a lot about the Clippers. I was planning to talk a lot about the Rams, the Chargers. So a packed show for you guys today. Of course, you guys can always find us on at Lace 'Em Up Sports on all of our social medias. Find us on Instagram, find us on X, find us on YouTube. Of course, if you're listening on Spotify, you're listening on Apple Podcasts. Wherever podcasts are streamed, you can find Lace 'Em Up Sports Media. You can find this LA Sports Roundup podcast, and you can find our other podcasts, Wrestling with Ryan and Mike, where we talk all things pro wrestling, if that is your jam. But, alright, as I mentioned at the top of this podcast, the Lakers, Mark Walter has decided to sell to Josh Kushner and Bob Iger for $12.5 billion, a record-breaking price according to multiple reports here. And I'm going to read you a report from Ramona Shelburne from ESPN, and this is how it goes. The businessmen were involved in the expansion process in Las Vegas, meaning Kushner and Bob Iger. But in a stunning turn, they pivoted to make an aggressive offer to buy the Lakers from Mark Walter, who had purchased a controlling interest in the team from the Buss family last year for then a record franchise evaluation of approximately $10 billion. And that was only 14 months ago. Only 14 months ago, they were approximately $10 billion and already has raised $2.5 billion. That is incredible. Anyways, so this is quote. As lifelong NBA fans, we are deeply honored for the opportunity to become stewards of the Los Angeles Lakers and one of the most iconic sports franchises in the world. We have immense respect for our leadership and vision of Jerry and Jeannie Buss. Kushner and Iger said in a statement, "Our long-term commitment is to build on that foundation, compete at the highest level, and serve this extraordinary team, its fans, and the city of Los Angeles." Walter, the CEO of and chair of diversified holding company TWG Global, has been the Lakers' majority owner since last October, when his bid was unanimously approved by the NBA. "Owning the Los Angeles Lakers has been one of the great honors of my life," said Walter. "An extraordinary investment, but what I will carry with me is the community, the fans, and the city that treats this team as family. I'm grateful to Jeannie, the Buss family, the players, and the staff for welcoming me into this chapter. The Los Angeles Lakers and I have every confidence the best is still ahead," Walter said in a statement. "The sale will need approval from the NBA Board of Governors, and that process can take several weeks. The next board meeting is set for next month in New York." Walter and TWG Global have interest in multiple sports, including the Dodgers, Sparks, Premier League club Chelsea, and Professional Women's Hockey League, and motorsports as well. So going down here, Walter, 66, is selling the Lakers in this transaction, so sources told ESPN. Walter, who built his financial empire in the insurance industry, is under federal investigation for alleged tax fraud by other companies tied to the billionaire. So I spoke about this a couple weeks ago on the podcast, if you guys recall. Walter, he's being investigated right now for tax fraud. I think it's some money laundering into some other savings accounts, where the money was not supposed to go. So that's very, very important to know here. Very, very important. Look, guys, this cannot be stated enough. If this is one of the reasonings why Walter is selling right now, then this is huge. And by if the chance Walter sells the Dodgers in the upcoming weeks or months, then you absolutely know that it has to do with this alleged tax fraud investigation and what Mark Walter and his lawyers see coming in the pipeline for him, because this is not good. This is not good. And I spoke about this a couple weeks ago. I said that if Walter, and in the Guggenheim Group and whoever's involved in this tax fraud, if they're deemed to be, at fault here, guilty, then both leagues, the MLB, the NBA, they can come down on Walter. They could have come down on Walter to sell both franchises. They could have. Look, separate from all this news this morning, look, that was the ramifications I spoke about a couple weeks ago. But now, this is insane. And it makes you wonder that all of this, what we're finding out, has to do with the alleged tax fraud. People didn't think it was a big deal when I spoke about it, but I think there's more coming down the pipeline than what we can imagine here, because Mark Walter, use your brains here, guys. He just didn't decide, you know what, I'm going to get out of the Lakers business. I spent all this money, and you know what, I think I'm just going to get my return on it. Get an extra $2.5 billion. I mean, he could have, but I don't think that was the case. I really don't. I think he was committed to the Lakers as much as he was committed to the Dodgers. But something came along the pipeline here where he decided, or maybe it was all of the board of governors for the Lakers and people that have majority interest in the Lakers getting together and convincing Walter to sell, because they knew what was in the pipeline coming. It wasn't, I feel like, and this is just my gut reaction, this wasn't just a thing that Mark Walter decided to do on his own. So going back to the article here, Bloomberg reported that in July that U.S. prosecutors in Manhattan are examining whether Delaware Life Insurance Company and Clearspring Life and Annuity, two insurers controlled by Walter, failed to disclose that their private credit holdings backed other Walter-controlled ventures. The Securities and Exchange Commission is running a parallel investigation, according to the Bloomberg report. Yeah, it makes me wonder if these things are very, very correlated here. And to be honest, that is my gut feeling that they are. That they very much are,